Have you ever heard someone say, painting is just drawing with a brush? This phrase is used by artists and educators to describe the close relationship between painting and drawing. But just how close is this relationship? Let's find out. For the purpose of this video, I first drew this portrait on the left using a pencil on paper, and then I started it on canvas also using a pencil. Now you can use a small brush for this purpose, but with a pencil, of course, it's going to be much more precise. This time lapse is showing the two artworks side by side. When we're blocking in for portrait painting, the most important aspect to start with is the proportions. You want to use your outline to capture a decent overall likeness of the head. Then you can start drawing the smaller shapes like the facial features. Make sure to use your center lines to position and align them correctly. After the blocking is complete, things start to get more interesting. Here you can see on the right, I am drawing the eyes on the canvas. Now this is a more flat shape-based drawing, not dissimilar to the drawing on the left on the paper. But remember, our goal is to paint here. We want to paint a portrait. Painting means we need to understand form and structure and paint planes. So if our brush strokes could represent planes, that's the best. So on the left here, I've gone back now, trying to study the form of the eye socket a little bit more. I'm able to define the thickness of the eyelid and create all these planes because I'm aware of the underlying structure, which is a sphere. And the iris is the same thing. With a flat shape, we know that it's circular, but as we paint it, you'll see in a second, we need to consider what kind of a form it's based upon. So there I'm creating a cross-section to define the sphere underneath. Now, as you start getting into the painting phase, it's super important that you keep in mind that we're not painting or rendering flat shapes, but we're trying to depict light and shadow based on the planar structure on the form that we're painting. Here we've created some shadows, and now the iris is being painted in. Close attention to the anatomy here. We know that it's going to be darker on the left towards the light side where the highlight is, and then slightly lighter towards the bottom right. It's also a good idea to try to get maximum contrast here on this near eye. This tells your audience that this is the focal point that they should pay most attention to. I of course believe it's important for you to learn from someone that's good at drawing, even if you just want to paint. Which leads me to the sponsor of today's video, my own teaching platform, Fundamentalist, an online art school that provides students worldwide with professional classes in the constructive method of drawing. Drawing not only helps us to capture the form and structure of the facial features, but more importantly, in terms of painting, it helps us to find our shadow and light division. Using our lines, we can define the shadow shapes. Finding the core shadows, trying your best to connect them, is crucial to depicting a believable light and shadow distribution on your portrait or any type of painting. Once you've located your shadow shapes, your core shadow patterns, you can start assigning values to it. Here you can see I'm separating the light from the shadow sides. These are not the final values by any means. I am reserving that to the painting. Here it's merely light fall-off effects. Gradating in a horizontal and vertical direction is going to always affect your form that you paint. Because my drawing has set up the proportions, shapes, and form clearly for me, the painting process should be relatively straightforward. Always start from the darkest shadows. They will give you the right contrast, so all the shadow accents is what I get first. And then Work your way from the shadow side towards the light. Get the right values for the shadow, starting from the core shadow, and then reflected light. Then switch over to the light side, which includes the midtones. But I would do the midtones first, which is closest to the actual color and value of the skin in this case. And finally, I would do the light and highlight. Highlight is not as important as it seems. In fact, sometimes it gets in the way a little. So try to work on your shadow, midtone, light first, and then finally highlight.